2022 has seen its fair share of Weird West games, but the latest is certainly one of the best. Evil West from developer Flying Wild Hog is set in a Wild West infested with vampires and other lethal supernatural creatures. The Rentier Institute is dedicated to tracking down these monstrosities in an effort to protect the citizens of the American frontier, but the vampire hunters soon find themselves up against particularly powerful enemies. While it might sound funny on paper, Evil West's story is B-movie quality, with paper-thin characters speaking in quips and all varying degrees of unpleasantness. The plot is predictable and the villains are generic. But ultimately the story is secondary. Evil West's weak narrative doesn't hold it back because the base game is such a good time. Players can safely ignore it, and it won't affect their enjoyment of the overall product one way or another. Basically, Evil West's gameplay is what happens when Overwatch's Doomfist spends his time killing vampires in the Wild West. Protagonist Jesse Reindeer is a skilled vampire hunter armed with an electrified gauntlet that allows him to unleash devastating melee combos. Players can slash vampires, monsters, and other enemies mid-air, then send them flying into a pile of explosives or crashing to the ground at breakneck speeds. The gauntlet also allows players to close the distance between themselves and enemies by dashing through space to unleash a barrage of blows, culminating in a flashy finishing move that ousts any unlucky monsters to get in the way. Combat in Evil West primarily revolves around Jesse's gauntlet, but it also has plenty of other useful tools. Jesse's arsenal of weapons to slay vampires grows as the game progresses, adding depth to combat and giving players endless opportunities to slay monsters. In the later stages of the game, players can string together incredible combos using a mix of Jesse's gauntlet attacks with blasts from his revolver, shotgun, rifle, and various other weapons he can get his hands on. Evil West also sometimes has puzzles to solve and collectibles to find. The puzzles in the game are about as generic as they come, but they still do a good job of breaking up the action and giving players more variety in the minute-to-minute gameplay. Collectibles include documents that reveal more details about Evil West characters and history, as well as bags of money that can be used to purchase upgrades for Jesse's weapons. These updates often result in new attacks that develop Jesse's repertoire much more, which goes a long way in keeping the battle fresh. Those who take the time to thoroughly explore Evil West's levels will be able to find most of the collectibles without too much trouble, as the game is extremely linear and doesn't allow players to deviate too often from their intended path. Some players might be put off by this, but in an industry dominated by huge open worlds and complex level designs, Evil West's pared-down levels are truly a breath of fresh air. With its streamlined approach to level design and linear progression, Evil West sometimes feels like a game straight out of 2005, and that's no insult. Evil West has no loot boxes or season passes. It doesn't bog down the experience with annoying secondary content or redundant online features. It offers a simple action-adventure game in which players can kill monsters as a cowboy vampire hunter in the Wild West. It's a hard-to-find type of game in today's gaming industry, which is why it stands out more than one might expect. Evil West prides itself on being a throwback to the third-person action-adventure games of yesteryear. Developer Flying Wild Hog's Shadow Warrior series fits the same mold for the first-person shooter genre, so fans of those games will likely have a good idea of what to expect from Evil West's scope and approach to game design. The main focus of him is fun fighting, and he delivers in spades. Unfortunately, this comes at the expense of the story and graphics, which leave a lot to be desired. This might be a deal breaker for some, but not for those just looking for a fun video game to play. One major downside that fun combat in Evil West can't overcome is its short duration, though this is mitigated by three things. On the one hand, Evil West has several difficulty levels that allow players to clearly meet the challenge. For two, Evil West has an online co-opus mode that allows players to play through the game with a friend, with the caveat that the co-opus partner cannot save their progress. It's a disappointing limitation and feels like co-opus was tethered to ticking a box, but it's better than not having the option available at all. The third feature that helps ease the pain of Evil West being such a short game is New Game Plus mode, which is always a great way to add replay value. But even though these features add more replay value to the game, some may still not be fazed by Evil West's short duration. Evil West only has 16 missions to complete, and most of them can easily be completed in 30 minutes or less, with some taking a bit longer. Most players should be able to beat the game in 10 hours or even faster without too much trouble. Evil West's poor narrative, dated graphics, and short length make it a little hard to justify its $60 asking price, no matter how fun the basic combat is. However, those who want a no-nonsense action game with old-school sensibilities may still want to take the plunge, and if the short runtime doesn't bother them, they're unlikely to walk away disappointed. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.